well, some people don't even think Australia exists. How is that? G'day folks, I have the pleasure today of being near where I was brought up, Mittagong, which several of you will know I love very, very much, and I'm even more lucky to be with an amazing man here. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi. My name's Keith Fludder, and I'm a bladesmith.
He's the bladesmith. Keith is the bladesmith. He probably underrates himself there a little bit. Keith, tell us a bit about who you are professionally as well and what you have to do with the KAA.
Well, professionally, I am a full-time maker, so that is my profession. I am also the president of the Knife Art Association, which is just going from strength to strength. So, all in all, that keeps me very, very busy,
Very, very
to say the least.
Yeah, I bet it does. So this is, obviously I wanted to speak to you a little bit about this today. The KAA is a relatively small group of people which organise a massive group of people.
Correct.
So they run most of the knife shows in Australia. They organise a symposium. What other things do the KAA do that people won't actually realise that we're behind?
Well, basically, I think that you've just explained exactly what we do. We first started off in 2014 with the Sydney show.
Right.
And
so it's quite young then, actually, still.
yes, it is.
Yeah, right.
Yes, it is. And now we have reintroduced the Perth show, which hasn't been running for 17 years, which has been great. So earlier this year, that took place in February, and we were really surprised with the numbers that the number of people that came through the door. Also, the Queensland show. And that was also amazing with the numbers.
Considering the size of the actual property itself.
Exactly.
The premises was quite small considering how many people actually came through.
That's
we
right.
Got a few celebrities in that, I think, came through.
Yeah,
didn't we? We had,
exactly right.
John Butler or someone like that came through.
John Butler, I had a chat with him. I didn't actually recognise him because he didn't have his dreads.
No. Oh, really? Yeah, right.
But he didn't say who he was, but
I was having a celebrity known as John Butler.
Anyway, so we had quite a lengthy chat, and then it was later on someone pointed out to me, it was like, oh, that's John Butler, and it was like, oh, yeah. Anyway, getting back to what we were saying.
Yeah, where were we? So
the Knife Art Association, the Queensland show now, and we run a symposium every year. Which is like a classroom type situation. And so we're actually helping also with the New Zealand show.
Yeah, I saw that.
We're not
running it.
We're not running it. We're just sort of helping those guys sort of get it all together. To promote the craft that we all love.
That's right. And that's really cool. That is actually one of my favourite things about the knife industry, is the fact that pretty much everybody just wants it to get better. They're not scared to share their secrets. They're not scared to give some of their knowledge out to help make the industry get greater on its own, unlike a lot of other industries where everyone's a bit secret squirrel and wants to kind of keep all their own stuff, and actually all they're doing is making it all smaller overall. So the fact that we're helping something that really isn't anything to do with us, just to make it greater, is exactly why I love this place.
I've always had the opinion that the people that you know. I don't know them, but you're going to tell all of those people, this is what I do. I love making knives, or I'm a blacksmith, or whatever else. So that is going to get the industry sort of more widely known, right? And sharing information is what that's all about, And I've only ever met 3 people, and I've been making knives for just over 30 years now. I've only ever met 3 people who thought that something was a secret.
That's pretty impressive numbers, actually.
It is.
Only 3
it
people.
is actually. And there was one particular gentleman, I won't mention any names, but he was an electrician, and I said to him, well, he said to me, it's like, why are you going to teach all of these people? They're going to become our opposition. He was an electrician. Right. And I said, do you have an apprentice? And he goes, yeah, I've got 2. And it's like, well, what are you talking about?
Yeah. What if
they're going to be
5 minutes?
They're going to be your opposition.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean that's just the way that some people think, I guess.
Yeah, it does seem to be that way. I mean, I've met a few of those, probably a couple of those people myself, and been quite interested because it's not the norm. It's not what we have here.
No.
So that, I do like that.
Sorry, I might just add.
Yes.
That this is not just an Australian thing. This is a worldwide thing. That other knife makers are only too happy to talk with you, tell you what they do, how they do it, and then ask questions of you.
Yeah.
You know, so it is a two-way. Yeah, it's a two-way street.
And actually, I've felt like that right from the start, but I regularly get that reminded to me. So I've started doing, I don't know if you've seen any of them, I've spoken to you about doing them, these Bonza blade tips. So they're small tips done by knife makers for other knife makers. And they're really short, they're on YouTube. And I've been blown away by the names of people who you would think would be a bit secretive. Right. That are like, yeah, cool, I'm happy to, what do you want?
What do you want to do?
You do whatever you want to do and I'll put it on the net.
Yeah, sure.
Like Jay Nielsen. Like,
okay, yeah.
That's a pretty big name, Jay Nielsen.
Yeah.
Joshua Prince.
Right.
You know, he makes beautiful Damascus.
Yeah, he does.
He's in the US. There's so many of these makers who are like, yes, that seems like a really cool thing you're doing. I haven't seen anything else like that before. How can I help?
You're right.
And actually, they're then giving tips that are gold. Like, I'm blown away by some of the tips, how simple they are, but how life-changing or industry-changing they could be if everyone was doing that sort of thing, making the big jobs so much easier and smaller.
Yeah.
But just blown away by it.
Even if you only learn one thing.
Yeah.
From that one person, that's one thing that you've learnt. And so, you know, that just, and it goes and it goes and it goes and it just sort of multiplies itself. And with the symposiums that we run, what have we've had Master Smith Bill Burke come out 1 year, Kevin Cashin, Rodrigo, you know, and these guys are really well known in the industry and are just so happy to come out here and show us what they do. That's just fantastic.
Well, not to mention our homegrown talent as well. We're getting these awesome people in, but we have the likes of you teaching us. Like, and I know you're going to be all sort of meek and mild about it, but I and other people would put you on that same level as some of those people for things that not only that we can learn from you, but the skill sets that you have and the ability you show in those knives. Like, your knives are incredible, which you know.
Thank you.
Well, I've not made that a secret. So we've got such homegrown talent.
Absolutely.
And so we're not just getting in one guy who can sort of do a couple of classes for a few people. The symposiums, what did last year we had like 16 different sessions or something? Played multiple times over the weekend, so people could essentially go to different ones over a couple of days and learn heaps of different stuff from homegrown talent as well as celebrities.
Absolutely. Look, we've got a great lineup of some fantastic makers. You know, the makers here in Australia are world class, no doubt about it.
Much so.
You know, I go to Blade Show every year and have done so for the past 10 years. You know, the talent that we've got here in this country and the upcoming talent is world class. It's great. It's really good to see.
If I put you on the spot right now, who would you say is upcoming that we need to be keeping an eye out for?
Jackson Rumble.
Jackson Rumble.
Yep.
Do you think he's upcoming? I've known his name for a while.
It was interesting. A number of years ago now, we had a bit of a hammer in at Everleigh Works.
Yeah, nice.
And Jackson sort of approached me and said, "Look, would you critique my knife?" And I went, "Yeah, sure, not a problem."
Was this?
Oh, mate, it'd have to be 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm looking at the knife. I'm going.
What am I supposed to find?
I really got to look really hard at this.
Yeah, wow.
To find something, and it was. Anyway, so I knew that right at that particular stage of the game that, that he was going to be, a force.
Yeah, to be reckoned with.
He's just got his journeyman Smith.
Yes, yeah.
And won the B.R. Hughes Award, I think it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's called that.
Okay.
For the best journeyman Smith set of knives.
To be entered, wow.
To be entered, so
submitted,
bloody good. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That from an Aussie maker, that's putting a stamp down.
Absolutely.
And I don't think the Americans are blind to it. We hear regularly, like on the Knife Talk podcast and on the internet and all that sort of people talking about Aussie makers all the time.
Right. Yep.
Clearly, they see a skill set here, and that some of them aspire to be like it, but others are just more respectful of the fact that. But
well, let's not get into that argument.
So back to the KAA. So, like I say, it's a very small group of people, but actually organising a great deal of stuff. And I say we because I am now a member of it,
right.
Only relatively recently, last 6 months or so. And that is, it's always been known as the sort of secret squirrel sort of group, isn't it? But it's never been a secret.
No, it hasn't been a secret. And so yes, it has been sort of put out there that it's secret society.
Illuminati.
Yeah, the Illuminati, which is not true. Basically, the thing is, and people ask me, how do I join the Knife Art Association? And basically, all you really need to do is pay you $50, right, for a year. Expect nothing in return. Volunteer your time and expertise for no gain.
That's right.
Simple as that.
Who wouldn't?
And you've actually got to bring some skill sets with you
that's right.
to help the organisation, whatever that may be. And I might just point out right now that a lot of people go, well, I think my knife making has got to a stage where I can contribute. It doesn't have anything to do with that. You might be in marketing, or you might have some other skill sets, like this gentleman right here, Toby, doing exactly what we're doing right now. They're the things that the Knife Art Association is looking for, people who can actually get on the ground and make decisions and organise stuff. Yeah,
well, the epitome of that is Andrew.
Absolutely.
Andrew doesn't make knives, he's a collector. But
he's a collector, yeah.
But he if it wasn't for him right now,
we would
very little would be happening.
We would be nowhere.
Yeah.
Corin and I would be crying in our bins.
Corner.
Absolutely. Rocking. Yeah, backwards and forth. I do a little bit of that now. No,
but just for fun.
That's actually, no, I don't. So I suppose you want to know how it all basically started.
Where it started, yeah. Corin's given us a little bit of background, but it clearly didn't spring out of nowhere. It came out of a need.
Yeah. Okay. So really, I guess I could say that I belong to an organisation, I still do to this day, and nothing was actually happening. They were just sort of plodding along, doing the same thing year after year after year. And, I've sort of had the thought that maybe we could make it a bigger thing. Like I was just saying to you before, the people that I don't know them, so on and so forth. And we all have that thing. So anyway, myself and another maker, Bruce Barnett, whom everyone probably knows about, said, look...
If you don't, go and find him on the internet.
Go and find
him, yeah,
absolutely.
Some of the best folders you've ever seen.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. So we came up with this idea of holding a symposium, a hammering, if you like. So I put it to the board, and I put together, I think it was about 7 or 8 page proposal. And basically they sort of went, look, thank you very much for your proposal, but we're not going to go ahead with it. And I sort of went, well, what are you afraid of? don't be afraid to do something. If it doesn't work, well then you try something else.
That's right.
Anyway, I just said, look, we're going to do it anyway.
Very progressive.
And so we did, and that was 2009. I think from memory we had about 40 odd people here.
Oh, here?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah, and so every year up until about 2014 it was held here. The symposium was held here.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I've got 16 acres out here.
Yeah, a little bit of land for people to sleep on.
Yeah, so it was full of cars and tents and caravans and all sorts of stuff. So it was bloody good.
Yeah.
So out of that, I then met Mr. Corin Urquhart from Gamma.
So you didn't know Corin before that point?
I didn't know. Okay. And how it turned out, how it came about, was that my wife is a school teacher, or ex-school teacher.
Okay.
And she was actually teaching at our local public school.
Right.
And Robin, being Robin, tells everyone exactly what I do.
Yeah.
And this young kid's gone, oh, my dad makes knives. Corin.
Yeah.
So anyway, we hooked up, and then we thought maybe we should put on a show, because I've always wanted to put on a Sydney knife show.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, he's gone, well, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so we did.
Yeah, he's able to get things done.
Oh yeah, he's very much, he grabs the ball and runs off with it a lot, but I got to give him a bit of a tap now and then. G'day, Corin. And in that, we thought, well, look, we really need to have an organisation so that we're covered by insurance, so on and so on and so on. And so we started off the Knife Art Association, and basically it's a lot of work. It's a hell of a lot of work. And so now
the first few times as well, it had nothing to plan it off. There was no prerequisite. There was no you had to sit down and work every detail out.
We didn't know, whether we were going to get 5 people through the door or 500 people through the door.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah. Thinking how many people are going to know about knives and want to see a show of them.
Yeah. So we were really surprised, at that first show, and we are constantly being surprised as it's growing and growing. That more and more people are getting involved in this art called knife making, and blacksmithing, which is fantastic.
It's moving so fast.
It's moving exponentially, actually. The industry here in Australia is just going from strength to strength. Which is fantastic.
Yeah. And we have got to the point now where we're at Rose Hill, we've been in Rose Hill for the last few years, and we're getting to the point where we're almost too big for Rose Hill, right? Like if we went up 30% again, do you think, I don't know if we'd fit?
Yeah, it is getting a little, well, I won't say cramped, because there's plenty of room, and you need that room for people to actually be walking around. And I don't know, if you've seen any footage of the Sydney show, it's really hectic.
It is hectic. Well, we did a video, didn't we? We did a video,
that's right.
Which I will link to here, just here above Keith's head.
All right.
There'll be a video. We'll put that there so you can actually see that video if you want to see what the knife show is like. It is a bit hectic, but that makes it even more fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic.
Cool. So, where are we going from here? That's a bit of the history. Like, what are the plans? We're seeing more and more makers come in. Like this year's show, there was several first-time makers.
Yeah.
And some of them cleared their tables. They were incredible. Like, they've only been making knives for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But they were very, very good makers. And I think the progression of the industry is helping people that have only been in a year or two make knives like someone who's been doing it 5 or 10.
Right.
That's only my layman's opinion. But what do you see happening in the future with Australian knife industry and with the KAA? Like, how do you see this going? I know you're not Nostradamus, but you must have some plans in your head or some ideas.
It's an interesting one. I think we were well pleased at the Sydney show to note that we're 10% up again on attendance, through the public.
Yep.
Hopefully that will continue. We were probably saying last year that, well, we hope that it doesn't actually plateau, right? But so we've been encouraged by that 10% increase.
Yeah.
With the addition of the Queensland and the Perth show, and the numbers through the door, as I've said before, have been excellent.
Yeah.
I can only see it getting better and better, bigger and bigger. And as you've mentioned, Toby, we've got all of these young guys, or people that have only sort of been making for probably a short period of time, but their skill level is great.
Yeah.
And that's because of the symposiums and the show, and the community as a whole. It's always good to go and spend some time with another maker.
Oh, very much so.
And you go, oh, just that one thing that I was talking about. It's like, if you go away with that one little tip, that's gold.
Yeah, very much so.
And that just shortens the that learning curve.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Spikes much faster.
Yeah, that's right. So, as to the future, wow. Bigger, better, harder, faster, more. That's all right. I can say.
All the good things.
All the good things.
And sometimes it is hard to plan for something that you're taking small bites at and working out how to progress, and things move so quickly without us, the internet and that sort of stuff. So, because we don't know what the social media we're doing next year or that sort of, it's hard to be definitive of what's going to happen. But
it's hard to gauge it.
Yeah, that's right. But with Andrew and with Corin and with you, and the fact that the KAA is growing,
right,
and there's more people with more skill sets, I can only see us attaching and latching on to things more quickly and with more professionalism. So I can only see it growing faster.
Yeah.
That 10%, it may be 10% again next year, it might be 12%, who knows?
Who knows? So, and this is getting back to what we were talking about, being a member of the Knife Art Association. If we get all of these people with their expertise in those particular areas, obviously that's going to grow it. I've always sort of, firstly, wanted to have the Sydney Knife Show, as I stated.
Yeah.
And now I actually want the Sydney show, or either of the shows, to be the premier knife show for the Southeast Asian Pacific region.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's where I'd like to see it go.
That's exciting.
And so this year at the show we had Jim Cooper, Sharp by Coop, one of the best knife photographers in the world.
Arguably the best.
The best.
Yeah.
So I've been actually asking him in regards to Asian publications, and so on and so forth. So he's given me some leads in, and so we just have to keep promoting what we do.
That's exactly right.
And I think whether or not we attain that position of being the number one show in this Asian region, that remains to be seen, but I think that's somewhere where we could head.
Oh, very much so. And we are doing exciting things all the time that help that. Like the fact that we do bring essentially celebrities and that's to all these sorts of things. We had Michael Cthulhu as well, giant sword guy.
Yeah, Michael.
And Michael doesn't have so much to do with the knife industry. He makes giant sharp things, which is very cool, but it helps bring other people that potentially like that sort of stuff along so that they can be exposed to our environment.
Exactly,
so they can
right.
see knives. And they may not be a customer this year. I feel like a lot of people turn up for something like Michael and they walk around and then they look at all these knives and over the year start looking into handmade knives and that sort of stuff, going, wow, I didn't even know this existed.
Right.
They may not ever become a knife maker, but they may go, I want to buy my wife a nice knife.
I'm going to buy a knife.
Yeah. And then by the second or the third year, they're buying $1,200 knives.
Right.
Whereas if they'd never come for Michael Cthulhu, they may never have even known we
Seen
exist.
about it. Exactly right.
So I do think it's a lot about planting seeds as well, which
Oh,
seem to be very
my
good
word. Yeah. And, I get back to, what I said earlier, and on a number of occasions. You know the people that you know. I don't know them. And so we're all in this boat together. And so by promoting exactly what we do, that's just going to grow the whole industry for sure. It has to.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. And I don't know how much I see quite regularly you're on social media, and you put pictures of your knives and that sort of stuff on quite regularly, and then other people share stuff for you, like someone did a Damascus course with you recently and shared his certificate and that sort of stuff. So that's sort of advertising directly for you, but it works the same for everybody. If we're all getting better at social media because it contacts us to the world, each person is getting their own follower groups. Like you say, they know their own people, and they also are going to get their own followers, which all funnels back to the... If they're like, oh, I'm going to the show this year, I've got a table, some of those people might turn up. So as social media grows, and you're a big part of that, it's got to keep moving, right?
It has to. It just has to. Yeah, for sure.
It's exciting times. It's very cool.
Absolutely, it is.
Thank you very much for your time.
I appreciate
it very much,
Thank
Keith.
you. Thank you.
Awesome.